Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown, is the women's hockey team in jeopardy of losing the ECAC?
And after a rough weekend up, Northwestern New York, the men's basketball team faces an important stretch of the season.
We'll recap the week that it was in Quinnipiac Bobcat sports.
Bobcat Breakdown starts now.
Beantown hasn't been kind to the women's ice hockey team of late. Losses to Boston University and #1 ranked Boston College last week, alongside an OT loss to the Harvard Crimson Friday night, gave the team their first 3-game losing streak since the 2011-2012 season. A 3-1 win against Dartmouth Saturday evening stopped the bleeding, but the Bobcats have Harvard breathing down their necks for first place in the ECAC. Nick, can we attribute the Bobcats' losses to their play as a team or to the level of play of the 3 Boston teams?
There's no doubt it's 100% contingent on the teams they've played. I mean, I don't know what's in the water up in Boston, but these teams are just a different breed. I mean, you look at BC, they're the best team in the country. They have Alex Carpenter, 27 goals, she's leading the nation. You got a freshman in Katie Bird who has the most wins. You can argue she's up there with Chelsea Layden as goalkeeper of the year. They're a tough team. And then you look at BU. They have 94 goals forward, and they just handed QU the second loss of the season after Harvard did. So these Boston teams are no joke.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, I 100% agree with you. You look at a program like Quinnipiac, it's sort of the first year that they've been seen as an upper echelon team, a top 5 team in the country. And despite the fact that they do have a lot of players who are seniors and juniors on this team, Erica Union-Johansson, Chelsea Layden, Nicole Costa, it is very tough for them to sort of adjust since they haven't had the success.
Right.
They sort of have to almost learn how to lose, and for them to learn how to lose at this time of the season, I think that it's more beneficial for them sooner rather than later before they hit the ECAC championships and the NCAA tournament.
Right, you hit it right in the head. And even Coach Chile said he's not really concerned right now. They've been playing good hockey. They've been dominating at parts of the game, and it's not, you don't have to throw in the towel yet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so why don't we move on to the next question. The team, they've been struggling offensively a bit down the stretch in these past few games, especially against the Boston teams.
Yep.
In what player do you think needs to step up the most?
Well, you look at Costa, you look at Johansson and D'Arcangelo. That lineup is an absolute threat. But for me, Nicole Connery, I think she needs to step up. She has the 4th most points on the team. She has to be a threat. You can't always rely on your star players. You have to have depth. All good teams have depth in any sport. So I think Connery, for me, has to step up for sure.
I'm actually going to disagree with you there, and I'm going to say Cheyenne D'Arcangelo. I think Nicole Connery is the type of player where she fits her role fine. I think just Cheyenne D'Arcangelo needs to step it up. Last year, she led the team with 23 goals. She's only had 1 goal in her past 7 games. And in games where Cheyenne D'Arcangelo scores, the team is 8 wins and 1 tie, no losses. So that just speaks volume right there.
I don't disagree with you, but I feel like that is a must. D'Arcangelo is a must. Nicole Connery, she hasn't really been relied on. She's been strong in January. She has 2 assists, 2 goals and 7 assists. So as of late, she's been strong.
Yeah, but Nick, I mean, D'Arcangelo last year on a team that had Kelly Babstock, the most distinguished player in Quinnipiac women's ice hockey history, led the team in goals. And she's been struggling the past 7 games. I don't know how Nicole Connery is a more important player.
I mean, she's not scared of the competition. She got the only goal against Boston College, which isn't easy. They haven't let up many goals. I mean, I just think she needs to be a focal point for the Bobcats and add some depth.
Okay, fair enough point. Okay, so moving along, we'll go to the next question. The team, they've been struggling, as we said, but we agreed that it was due to the level of competition they're playing.
Right.
But down the stretch, they need to get it done in the ECAC. And is there doubt in your mind that they can win the ECAC championships?
I don't think so. I believe in them. They have a game on St. Lawrence. St. Lawrence does give them trouble. They do still have to play 3 of the top 5 teams in the ECAC. Yes, it might be a tough road ahead, but I think they got it.
I'm going to have to disagree with you again. I say that there is reasonable doubt because you have this team that has been playing well, but they haven't beaten a really good team yet. Yeah, they beat Clarkson. Yeah, they beat Cornell, but they lost twice to Harvard. Harvard has their number. and they didn't really play well. They sort of got dominated against those 3 Boston teams, Harvard, BU, and Boston College.
But don't you think Harvard can drop points still on the rest of their
I
schedule?
mean, yeah, you saw that they lost against Princeton the night
Right.
after they beat Quinnipiac. So they basically gave away first place in the ECAC right then and there. But Quinnipiac, they're a decent scoring team. They average about 2.75 goals per game. They got to go up against teams such as Cornell, Clarkson,
Right.
and Clarkson, who are premier scoring teams in this league. And it's just going to be, I think, too tough for them down the end. And I think that they'll drop one of those games against Clarkson and Cornell.
All right, that's fair enough. All right, let's move on. What do you make of Chelsea Layden's performance over the weekend, and is she the best goalkeeper in the country?
All right, I'm going to tell you, I think Chelsea Layden has had an incredible season thus far, but it's a little misleading in how good of a season she has had. I do think that she is the best goaltender in the country, but let me hit this point first.
Okay.
With the women's ice hockey team, you have to take about 12 to 15 games of sample size, because that's about how many games that Chelsea Layden really is getting, contested. Games against St. Lawrence, Cornell, Clarkson, BC, BU, Harvard, teams with good offenses.
Right.
And with how good this back line is, teams that really can attack Chelsea Layden, those are the games that I really take the sample size away from. But I do think that she is the best the best goalie in the country.
See, I would say that, and it's easy to say that because she does have the best goal against average in the nation. But dare I say, I'm going to go with Katie Burt, the freshman from Boston College. She has more wins. She has more shutouts. And it's a .03 difference in goal against average. I mean, yeah, Chelsea Layden's under 1, and it's pretty cool to say you're averaging less than a goal a game. But this freshman's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, she's unbelievable. But I mean, BC, Alex Carpenter, she has so many points. That team relies on offense. They don't rely on goaltending. But I do agree with you that she has an outstanding goals against average.
You're right. It's definitely close.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break right now on Bobcat Breakdown, but don't go away. We'll be right back.
Wake up, Quinnipiac! It's the morning after! Hey! Come on, guys, it's time for TMA! Let's go! What's the morning after? Mondays at 10, only on Q30!
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
Okay, so highlights for this week look pretty solid. Men's hockey versus Yale, men's basketball Iona. Got some pretty nice graphics too, some OTSs, full screens.
Yeah, and I was also thinking for a feature idea, we could do something about head coach Rand Pecknold and the men's ice hockey squad with the new year and new players.
Yes, that definitely sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Where's Mike?
What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late.
What are you doing?
What? Freshman.
That was then, this is now. Don't be just a number.
Hello, welcome to Chameleon.
At Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, it's all about what makes you feel beautiful. Their professional team is dedicated to helping you reach your customized beauty goals from your head to your toes. Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, where it's all about what makes you feel beautiful.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. 7 weeks remain in the season for the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team, and every game counts. The Bobcats are currently slated to finish 15th in the USCHO.com pairwise rankings. The top 16 teams in the pairwise rankings make the NCAA tournament. A win against Brown Friday night and a tie against rival Yale Saturday night gave the Bobcats some momentum heading down the stretch. But the constant theme for this team this season has been their inability to sweep weekend series. With that being said, Nick, which weekend do you see as a trap weekend for the Bobcats?
Well, they have Cornell and they have Colgate. I'm not too worried. I think they can pull a result against Colgate. What really worries me is the second week of February. Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th, they have St. Lawrence, who's right under them, and then they have Clarkson. If they can survive that, I think they're in pretty good shape. That weekend might be pivotal for them.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to play devil's advocate right now a little bit. Colgate gives Quinnipiac trouble. They knocked them out of the ECAC tournament last season, and they've gotten healthier since their last matchup against Quinnipiac, where Quinnipiac skated them out of the building 5-0.
Right.
So, do you think that Quinnipiac sort of will say Quinnipiac loses both games against Cornell and Colgate?
Okay.
And they come back and they play better against Clarkson and they win against St. Lawrence. Can you say that Cornell and Colgate is the trap weekend?
You can, yeah, you definitely can if they perform well the second weekend. I mean, St. Lawrence is right under them. They need some wiggle room if they want to win the ECAC. I think that they can get the results against Cornell and Colgate. That weekend it's still going to be tough. I mean, it's still a tough competition. I don't know. I'm sticking with the second week is going to be the trap week. I think that's where the most trouble is. But they could definitely have some trouble against Cornell.
Yeah,
Colgate,
definitely.
like you said.
I mean, historically, St. Lawrence really gives Quinnipiac a lot of trouble.
Right.
So, I mean, I agree with you, but I just wanted to pull some answers right there.
Yeah, definitely. And also, when they have Yale and Brown, I feel like that's the weekend they need to do well.
Yeah.
I think they can handle Brown. They handled them already. Landon Smith had a hat trick against them, 5-3, and they tied Yale, as we know. I think they'll be all right against that weekend, too.
Yeah, definitely. So, with that being said, what do the Bobcats need to improve on the most for their team? Because they have been inconsistent this season.
Well, I talked to Devon actually earlier. Devon Taves, the defenseman, of course, he's out. He said he was worried about the consistency going into each period. He said if they don't start well going into the second period, they can just lose all momentum, and the game might go downhill from there. I don't know if they will. They've been pretty consistent, I would say. But, I mean, he said that was a focal point just from his bird's eye view.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree with that also, but I think that it all starts on the back line. The team this season has really struggled. Danny Federico has had a so-so season. He's the captain of this team along with Matthew Pekka. Michael Gartig at times has been vulnerable, as we saw early in the season, but it really all starts in front of the net for this team. They give Gartig's rebounds. The team has not lifted up sticks in their own zone, and they're really just not accountable for those loose pucks.
Don't you think also that they need a little more depth at scoring?
Yeah, I mean, the scoring is an issue. I mean, we see three players, Travis St. Dennis with 11, Landon Smith with 11, and Sam Annis with 14, and then it drops off from there. You have Timmy Clifton with 8 goals.
Right.
But I really think, defense wins championships, the old cliche.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, Kevin McKiernan has been forced to step in with Devon Taves going down. He's a -4 in his last 4 games. I just really think that the defense needs to step up for this team.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, let's move on. Will the Bobcats' youth and inexperience ultimately hurt them in the end?
Nick, I'm going to have to say yes. I think that this team has a lot of talent, but as we have seen throughout the season, Rand Pecknold has had to shuffle his lines. And when you have to constantly shuffle lines and switch up chemistry, it is very tough for teams to sort of get it going, and that's sort of been the theme for this team.
I agree to an extent, but who cares about experience when you have talent? It doesn't matter. You have Landon Smith performing. He's confident now. Sam Annis, too. I'm pretty sure they have 18 freshmen and sophomores combined. I think you can ride that wave out and be successful.
Yeah, but Nick, I mean, you saw with this team a few years ago when they made that run to the championship game against Yale, that team had so much senior talent on their back line, on the front line. They lost so many players from that team, and it's just so difficult, I think, in college hockey because it really is whoever comes down hot towards the end into that tournament. It's so hard in college hockey to sort of have a young team throughout the year, and when you're juggling chemistry and you're still trying to figure it out, it's hard to sort of almost figure it out when it comes to March and get into that tournament and ultimately win a championship. So, I mean,
Could you rely on somebody being hot at a certain game, like Sam Annis or Landon Smith, or would you not bet on them really?
I mean, they've been doing it all season,
Right.
haven't they? I mean, St. Denis had a hat trick in the game earlier in the season, and Landon Smith had a hat trick against Brown. So,
Right.
I mean, it's a different team from what we saw last year, where they were about 2 lines deep. That first line with Connor and Kellen Jones, featuring Sam Annis too. It's just a completely different team this season. They really only have 4 players who are contributing on the offensive end.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, I think that cycling will help them a lot too in the offensive end, and I think that time of possession really is going to help them a lot too, because when you have the puck and you're on when you have more time on attack than the
Right.
other team, you get more shots, more scoring opportunities, more goals.
Right.
All right, so we're going to move along now to actually, that was the last question. So we'll be right back on Bobcat Breakdown after this short break.
We are your source for entertainment news.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
That was then, this is now. Don't be just a number.
Hello, welcome to Chameleon.
At Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, it's all about what makes you feel beautiful. Their professional team is dedicated to helping you reach your customized beauty goals from your head to your toes. Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, where it's all about what makes you feel beautiful.
Welcome to Joya Spa and Salon in Hamden. Whether you want a new look or the perfect wedding day hair, come to us for complete hair and nail care, cuts, styles, updos, extensions, and beautiful dimensional hair color, as well as manis and pedis, acrylics, gels, and shellac. Treat yourself to a facial, a peel, or microdermabrasion. Relax with a variety of massage techniques, including Swedish and hot stone massage. Joya Spa and Salon. Call today.
After concluding a solid 3-game winning streak 2 weeks ago against Marist, St. Peter's, and Manhattan respectively, the Bobcats entered competition this weekend buzzing. Coming into the weekend at 500, the Bobcats aim to make it 5 straight wins. However, 2 straight losses against Canisius and Niagara proved to be a major setback. Now ranked 7th in the overall MAAC standings, how deflating was this weekend for the Bobcats at this point in the season?
Extremely deflating.
Right.
And I think we can both agree on that. I mean, this team coming into the weekend had a chance to tie Canisius for 4th in the MAAC, and they failed, and then they came out on Sunday and played against a bad Niagara team, and they played bad.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a little much to say on that.
I mean, they were coming off a high, like we said, 3-game winning streak. Canisius was only 1 game ahead of them. They're 6-4. They were 5-5 when they played. And then they take on Niagara, who's at the more or less at the bottom of the table. They need to handle those games, especially coming down into crunch time when they have to face Iona, who's first, Ryder, who's second. They really have to capitalize on those games so they can get those wins and try and get into a better playoff picture for themselves.
And yeah, Nick, I mean, since they lost to BU in mid-December, this team was on a crazy run.
Right.
They sort of hit a lull there where they lost to St. Peter's over in middle of January, and Tom Moore went to Usman Drame, Evan Conti, and Kasim Chandler and set them on the bench. And it ultimately seemed like this team was starting to figure it out more. They were playing better. The game against Manhattan, I thought, was one of their best games of the season, if not the best game they played all season. Usman Drame looked great with the knee. Zaid Hurst played phenomenal offensively, shut down Shane Richards. And I think it was just their most complete performance of the season. And then they come out against Canisius and Niagara and just flat.
Drop the ball.
Yeah, it was terrible.
To be cheesy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we'll move along, and we'll get to Zaid Hurst. He's been unbelievable this season. He's the captain of the team, first captain in men's basketball history for Quinnipiac, and he's had only a few games, to my recent memory, where he's come out flat, so to say.
Right, yeah, I agree.
And do you think that if Zaid Hurst comes out and, say, scores single digits, 5 rebounds, no free throws, a flat game, so to say, do you think that this team can win?
I think this team can win, yes. Oftentimes, even in the NBA, when a star player doesn't have a good performance, a bench player can come on and get the light, and that's usually when stars are born. You can think about anybody, James Harden, Danny Green, the San Antonio Spurs. So I think of a player like Justin Harris, whose stats recently have been improving. He's getting hot. He's basically doubled his stats from Manhattan to Canisius. At Niagara, he almost had a double-double, 10 points and 8 rebounds. I mean, and also you could look at Usman Drame too. He could be big if Zaid isn't.
But he hasn't been for most of the season. Who knows with Usman Drame, whether he wants to come out and play or whether he, comes out and looks like the NBA prospect that he could be.
Do you think that's a confidence issue for Drame?
I don't.
No?
I really don't. I mean, he knows he's a great player. He knows that he can dominate anyone that he wishes to dominate out there. I mean, he's a freak of nature when it comes to athleticism.
Right.
If he so wants to, he could grab 20 rebounds and score 25 points per game. But it's just that constant will of wanting to go out and play.
Right.
And when you're a Division I athlete, you need to have that will and desire to come out and play. And it just seems like Usman Drame doesn't have that some nights.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. So just some stats to throw out there in terms of Zaid Hurst to show that he is the focal point of this team, but at the same time they can win without him. The Bobcats are 6-4 in games that Zaid Hurst shoots 50% or better. That's an insane stat. When you shoot 50% from the field, I mean, you think that your team will win all the games.
For sure, without a doubt.
Okay, moving along to the next question. Do you think that this team can advance far in the MAAC championships?
I want to say yes, depending on the draw they get. Do I think they can make it to the finals? I don't know if that's a stretch or not. If they avoid Iona, yes. They've handled Manhattan, who's a top team. I don't know that. I think they do need to get a good draw, and they need to stay clear of the tough opponents right away.
Well, Nick, my argument against that is that, I mean, they played down to their competition. I mean, they almost lost to Marist a few weeks ago. They just lost to Niagara. And they just have not been able to beat the top teams in the MAAC this season. I mean, Manhattan and Monmouth are good wins, but they lost against Ryder, they lost against Iona, they lost against Canisius, and they lost against, I mean, the Siena game was the first game in the MAAC. That was a long time ago back, last calendar year, but Siena is getting better. So I think that the Bobcats are trending down, while most teams in that conference are trending up. Teams that they need to beat are trending up.
Right, but I'd say the most uncertain sport in America is men's college basketball.
Yeah, I agree.
If I think they could get an easy upset and advance, and if they knock a #1 team out, then it's just gonna be easier from there.
Yeah, but I mean, by advancing far into the MAAC championships, I'm ultimately getting to the MAAC championship game where they're probably gonna have to play Iona, and they might get run out of the building.
Things are looking doubtful, yeah.
Run out of the building in that game. So we're gonna move along to our rapid fire segment. Me and Nick are going to go back and forth on a few questions, and we're going to start right now. Toughest road trip in the MAAC. The Bobcats will bounce back at home against Monmouth.
I think they'll get them. I think they're going to be buzzing when they come. They lost 2 straight. I think they're going to be hungry at home. They've got them ahead. They've proven they can compete with good teams. I think they'll get Monmouth.
Okay. Next question.
Are NBA scouts showing serious interest in Drame or Hurst?
I don't think so. I think Usman Drame, just by his work ethic this season, showing that really he is taking a step down from last season.
Are they coming for them or are they coming for other players, do you think?
I mean, Zaire Harris is a really good player, but I don't think he's an NBA prospect.
Fair enough.
Okay, so do you think Usman Drame is going to come off the bench and back into the starting lineup by the end of the season?
That's a tough one to say because Coach Tom Moore actually said starting is basically something for family and friends, and it shouldn't matter to an athlete, especially Division I. You shouldn't need to be psyched up to play a game. So I don't know if he will. I don't know if it matters to him.
His numbers have been better coming off the bench.
Absolutely.
I think he stays there.
Absolutely.
Okay, will the Bobcats end conference play above 500?
No.
No?
They have to still play top 5 teams in the MAAC. Like I said, they've dropped easy games to low opponents. I don't know if they could get above 500.
All right, I agree too. Next question. Bobcats can crack the top 6 and receive a first-round bye in the MAAC tournament.
I'm going to say yes. I think they can I think Canisius and Siena will drop games. I think they can rear into the 6.
I disagree. Siena's getting healthy, and they've been playing a lot better basketball. And final question. Winner of the MAAC tournament will advance in the big dance.
Yes. If it's Iona, it's March Madness. Anything can happen. We all know that. I think they can.
4th-ranked offense in the NCAA, too, might
Right.
I add. Well, that's all that we have for this week's episode of Bobcat Breakdown.
For more information, follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports.
And don't forget to check us out on our website at q30television.com. For Nick Colon, our producer team, and the entire behind-the-scenes crew, I'm Andrew Badillo. Have a great night.